Have you ever wondered what is really going on inside your head when you feel totally overwhelmed? Or, on the flip side, when you feel perfectly calm and in control? Well, today we're going to take a tour of the brain to really get the science behind self-regulation. Think of this as a user's guide to your own internal world.
You know that feeling, right? It's when every sound is too loud, the lights are too bright, everyone wants something from you, and you just can't seem to find the off switch. Or maybe you feel the opposite, just kind of numb, like you can't get motivated. It so often feels like we're not the ones in control.
Well, here's the good news. It turns out there is a control dial, and understanding how it's wired is the very first step to actually being able to use it. So let's go on that journey, starting from the very first sensation that hits your body all the way up to your most complex thoughts.
All right, to get started, we need a really powerful way to picture how we're all wired. And I want you to forget about circuits and motherboards for a second. Instead, I want you to picture a tree.
This idea, right here, is the foundation for everything we're about to talk about. It's such a hopeful message, isn't it? It means that no matter how your internal wiring feels right now, you're not stuck. You're not static. Change and growth are always possible.
So let's break this tree analogy down. Your nerves and all your sensory receptors, those are the roots of the tree, constantly pulling in information from the world around you. The nerve pathways that send those signals up to your brain, that's the trunk and the branches. And the sunlight and water, the stuff that feeds the tree, that's all the sensory stimulation from your environment. Literally everything you see, hear, taste, and feel.
And this brings us to this incredible, almost magical concept called neuroplasticity. This is the brain's amazing ability to literally rewire itself. Just like a tree's roots can find new ways to grow around a rock, our brain can forge new connections based on our experiences. It means we can actively help it grow stronger and more resilient.
Now, any tree needs the right amount of sun and water to thrive, and our nervous system is exactly the same. We need that just right amount of stimulation. If we get too little, we're like an underwater tree. We feel bored, restless, and we start seeking out input. But if we get too much, we're like an overwatered tree. We wilt, we get overwhelmed, and we shut down. Finding that balance is absolutely key.
So moving on from the roots of our tree, once all that sensory information gets into our system, where's the first place it goes? Well, before it gets anywhere else, it has to pass through a very strict gatekeeper, kind of like going through airport security.
This gatekeeper is called the reticular activating system, or the RAS for short. It's deep down in your brainstem, and its job is to filter the constant flood of information coming in. You know how you can be in a crowded room and tune out all the noise, but the second someone says your name, you snap to attention? That's your RAS. It's deciding what's important enough to let through. Without it, we would be completely swamped.
Now, depending on what our airport security lets through, it can kick our nervous system into one of two major modes. You've probably heard of these. First, there's the sympathetic system. That's our fight or flight response. It's the alarm bell that gets us ready for danger. Then there's the parasympathetic system, which is our rest and digest mode. It's the all-clear signal that calms everything back down. The problem for a lot of us is that fight or flight alarm can get stuck in the on position, even when there's no real danger.
Okay, so the information made it past airport security. What's the next stop on our tour? Well, it's a very powerful, very ancient part of our brain, the emotional core.
To make this super simple to picture, let's use another little metaphor. Imagine your brain is a big piece of fruit, and right in the middle, there's an apple. That apple is your limbic system. It's your emotional brain, and pretty much every piece of sensory info has to pass through it. Now, this right here is so important to get. The sequence matters. A physical feeling comes first, then that feeling turns into an emotion, and only after that do we have a conscious thought about it. This means our emotional response often gets a huge head start before our logical brain even knows what's happening.
So from here, that information can take two very different roads. The short path is pure automatic reaction. Your emotional brain senses a threat and hits the panic button instantly. Boom, you're in fight or flight. But there's also a long path. This is where the information takes a detour. It travels upstairs to our thinking brain, which allows for a much more considered, thoughtful response.
So what exactly is at the end of that long path? Who's the one in charge up there that helps us respond thoughtfully instead of just reacting on instinct?
Let me introduce you to your prefrontal cortex, or PFC. It sits right behind your forehead, and it's basically the CEO of your brain. It's the part that handles all the big picture stuff, decision-making, planning for the future, and, most importantly, hitting the brakes on those knee-jerk reactions from our emotional core. It's the part that lets us make sense of it all.
Okay, we're almost at the end of our tour. Let's look at one final amazing piece of the puzzle. Think of it as a central hub, a grand central station that connects all these different parts we've talked about, our senses, our emotions, and our thinking brain.
This is the insular cortex, or the IC. You can think of it as the brain's self-regulation hub. It's the structure that links what your body is feeling, like a racing heart, with your emotions and your conscious thoughts. This connection is what makes self-awareness possible. It's what allows us to feel empathy and to practice mindfulness. So strengthening this hub is absolutely fundamental.
So why does understanding this whole journey matter so much? Because when you have the map, when you can trace the path from a sensation at your roots, through the airport security of your RAS, past the emotional core, and all the way up to the CEO in your PFC, well, that knowledge gives you power. The power to navigate it better. The power to choose that long path.
So how do we actually do it? How do we get better at this? Well, it really boils down to working on 4 key areas. First is multisensory integration. That's just helping all our senses play nicely together. Second, emotional regulation, learning to understand and manage those first emotional sparks. Third, executive functioning, which is actively using our brain's leader to plan and solve problems. And fourth, mindfulness, which is just the simple, powerful practice of paying attention to the here and now.
And you know, the goal here isn't just about coping in the moment. It's about real, long-term growth. You can think of it like climbing a ladder. You start with the most basic need, feeling safe. From there, you build up through a sense of belonging, self-esteem, and different levels of mindfulness. And what's the ultimate goal? To get to a place where you're so well-regulated that you can actually help calm and regulate the people around you. That's a truly profound connection.
So, that's our tour. We've seen how a simple sensation becomes a feeling, how a feeling becomes an emotion, and how that emotion can either become an automatic, thoughtless reaction or a conscious, thoughtful response. Knowing the map gives you the power to choose. So the only question left is, which path will you take?